Hello. Today I will be going over constructive learning theory and going over my presentation that I would do with the rest of my classmates. Here's the outline that I would follow. I'd first go through the introduction, then review the objects, do a knowledge check-in. This is just prior, getting an idea of what they know prior to the exercises. I would explain the three basic learning theories: constructivism, behavioralism, and cognitivism. Then I would simplify the explanation and explain the differences between them all. I will then apply or explain how to apply the constructivism in everyday life. I'll do a final check-in, which is just the same questions over again, kind of expanding their knowledge a little bit more. There's an in-class activity that they will do, and then I will have a final question at the end of the presentation. Going over the objectives, it would be to identify the three basic learning theories, to be able to comprehend the differences between the three paradigms, be able to understand the constructivism learning theory, and then to be able to apply the constructivism learning theory in their daily life. The first knowledge check-in, the students will take 5 minutes. I will ask them a series of questions. They will not be graded. It is to open their minds to the different theories and test what they already know. They'll take their time and answer to the fullest of their ability. The first question is if a teacher were to use flashcards and rewards the students with points when they have answered the question correctly, which learning theory does the teaching strategy reflect? Cognitivism, constructivism, or behavioralism? The second question is true or false. According to constructivism, learning is most effective when learners actively engage in the real world. And then the third question I would ask is you're teaching, it's more of a scenario. You're teaching a math course. You explain the process of solving the mathematical problem. Let them practice the problem either on their own or with another student. Then have the students reflect on what worked and what did not work. And then they needed to figure out what learning theory was at play. Next, I would discuss the three basic theories, the cognitivism, behavioralism, and constructivism. According to Etmer and Newby in their article, they compared the three learning theories in an instructional design perspective. They explained cognitivism learning theory, how it emphasizes the learner's mental processing through actively receiving information, storing information, and retrieving the information. This would lead to the learning processing information like a computer, but also considering the learner's thoughts and beliefs. The learner receives new information and stores it in a framework that will be best suited for the learner to be able to recall it in the future. Going on to behavioralism, according to the National University, behavioralism learning theory explains learning as the change in observable behavior shaped by environmental stimuli, reinforcements, or punishment. The stimuli can be negative and or positive. This learning theory focuses on measurable actions rather than internal mental state. It is based on reinforcements, repetition, and objectives to reach a certain outcome, like we saw in the movie My Fair Lady with Professor Higgins and Eliza. Going on to constructivism, according to Nino article of on the basics of this learning theory, constructivism learning is a student-driven approach that emphasizes on active hands-on learning, where the students build on their existing knowledge. He mentioned how constructivism learning theory was created by Pigot's theory on social constructivism and Vygotsky's sociocultural theory on cognitive development. This is how constructivism gave the idea of replacing the classroom with an active, skilled-based learning experience, bringing in prior knowledge of the learner to solve a problem. Another approach is by Dr. Hine of Lesley College in Massachusetts. where he believes that constructivism learning and knowledge consists of the real world, where the learner starts to understand the world with their own reasoning and then presents it to the instructor. To simplify these learning theories, we have behavioralism, where it's reinforcement and punishment or reward, good or bad, with interactions with the environment through repetition. Constructivism, active knowledge and prior experience is needed. Where cognitivism, it's information processing and memory structures similar to a computer. So now we get to how do these theories differ from one another? According to the paradigm, the learning theories in plain English by David L. in the American Psychology Association book, basic learning is constructive and active versus passive. Learners construct their own idea based on their prior knowledge with constructivism. This differs from cognitivism, which is based on how the learner processing the information, how it's given, how it's processed, retained, and it also differs from the behavioralism, where the learner's response to external stimuli, which is more passive learning. All in all, the three theories provide a sound foundation for planning and conducting instructional design activities when used in conjunction with one another. To apply constructivism to everyday life is simple when it is broken down. We do it every day. When it's reading a recipe from your mom's favorite salsa recipe. You learned from watching her all the years she has done it. Now it's your turn to replicate it. You write down your notes as you observed for the 100th time, and you practice making it till it is perfected. Or collaborating with peers on a project, like building a tower. However, everyone has different perspectives and ideas on how to build this tower, but putting all those thoughts together will help solve the problem that you might not have been able to do by yourself. Or following your interests and expanding your knowledge on it. For example, my love to bake, but struggle with decorating. So one day I decided to expand my knowledge, and this was for a different project. But I researched ideas on decorating cakes, picked a design, made an outline with a template, then I put it into action. There are many ways to apply constructivism to our everyday life, and many of us do it without notice. But next time you're questioning something or want to expand your knowledge in something that you've learned, remember you are utilizing the constructivism learning theory. Time for another knowledge check-in. I'm going to ask the same questions that I asked prior, but this time we're going to answer them together. Number 1, if a teacher were to use flashcards and rewards the student with points when they have answered the question correctly, which learning theory does this teaching strategy reflect? Cognitivism, constructivism, or behavioralism? Answer is behavioralism. They are getting rewards, whether it's good or bad, but they're getting rewards and they're using their prior knowledge by seeing those flashcards. 2, true or false? According to the constructivism, learning is most effective when learners actively engage in the real world. The answer is true. Real-world experiences provide context for learners to actively engage in their own understanding of information that was given. Then number 3, you are teaching a math course. You explain the process of solving the mathematical problem, let them practice the problem either on their own or with another student, then have the students reflect on what worked or did not work. What learning theory is at play? The answer is cognitivism. This in-class activity will take 30 minutes of the time here today. I want you to answer the following question to yourself. How do you learn the best? Is it by listening to someone explain the process? Is it by exploring it yourself and researching it on your own? Or is it practicing and then repetition following? After that, we'll divide into groups of 4 and we'll take 5 minutes for discussion. I'd like you to compare and contrast how each person learns. When that is over, we'll have another 5 minutes to discuss what you know about constructivism learning theory. How does it compare or contrast to your individual learning technique? Next, we'll take the next 5 minutes to build the tallest tower you can build with only the supplies provided by me, which are popsicle sticks, tape, stick of glue, yarn, construction paper, and a penny. The tower must be able to hold a penny for 10 seconds. You cannot ask me how to do this activity. You cannot ask me for tips, but you are allowed to discuss it amongst yourselves. You then will take 3 minutes to discuss your results. What strategies did you use to build your tower? How many times did it take to make it work? Did it actually work? How did you learn from each other during this process? What do you think the activity shows about the way we learn? Now, same activity, but I'm giving you 7 minutes this time, and you get to build the tallest tower that can hold a penny on top of it for 10 seconds. But now you are allowed to use any materials in this room, in your backpack or purse. Only rule is you cannot leave this room to go get other materials. You can only utilize what's in this room at this moment in time. Then we'll take 5 minutes to answer the same questions above. How did your towers differ from one another? What strategies did you use to build the tower? How many times did it take to make the tower work? How did you learn from each other during this process? What do you think the activity shows about the way we learn? Would using a different type of learning theory be more beneficial, like watching me assemble a tower that would hold a penny for 10 seconds, regardless of how tall? Most of the time, we get caught up on the height, but never get the penny to hold for the full 10 seconds. Think about why we try to achieve the tallest goal versus the actual goal by holding the penny for 10 seconds. The goal is to get you to experiment and test different ideas through trial and error, just like the constructivism learning theory. Final question. We'll take 5 minutes to think about this question. Think about a time when you were learning something. Describe the situation and what did you learn? And how was it taught to you? Which learning theory best explains how you learned the information? Was it behavioralism, cognitivism, or constructivism? Please explain why it was that particular learning theory. Now, we'll go on for another 5 minutes. What are some ways you could have learned the new information in another way or using a different learning theory? Then we'll go on for another 3 minutes and do on the flip side, the same situation but reversed. You are the educator, teacher, or the trainer, and you are teaching someone the same thing. Would you choose to use the same technique or learning theory to teach? Here's the end. I wanted to tie in the constructivism learning theory by asking the knowledge check-in questions. I feel like that was a way to see where the learners are prior to the presentation and knowing what I need to do to help them understand the topic better. This presentation would be roughly an hour and 20 minutes, which I know the assignment was to do it in 1 hour, or was for a 1 hour in-person presentation. If needed, the in-class activity could be shortened and the final question would be given as a discussion board assignment versus in-class assignment, and that would make it fit the 1 hour presentation. Thank you. Here are the references that I used.